Hiya, buenos dias, people. Got this lovely head of cauliflower here. We're gonna do some roasted cauliflower tomorrow, but I need to marinate it first in a mixture of yogurt and some spices. Half we'll use to make the roasted part, and half we'll use for the other component of the recipe, which I will talk to you about mañana. You see this stem here? Do not throw this away. You will use this. We're gonna use this in part 2 of the recipe. So for the first part of the recipe, for the marinade, which you need to let sit overnight, you take some regular plain yogurt. No sugar. Don't use Greek yogurt, it's too thick for this purpose. You're just gonna marinate the vegetable in this. And for the spices, you can use whatever you want. I am using, what do I want to use today? I have some ras el hanout and some garam masala. I think I'm actually going to go with the garam masala today. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon's worth. Put your cauliflower in the bowl with it. Mix that up together. Plastic wrap, throw in the fridge overnight. Get back to you tomorrow on part 2. Today we are going to do a roasted cauliflower on top of cauliflower puree with roasted beetroots and some crunchy bits on top. This is yesterday's marinating cauliflower, just sitting overnight in yogurt and garam masala. Spread it out on a baking pan lined with either parchment or tin foil. The cauliflower should char a little bit on the outside. You'll know it's done when you can poke a sharp knife straight through. What you want to do is, if you do find beetroot with the stems still intact, don't throw that away. Cut it off very gently and then save that. We'll use that as part of the garnish for later. If you're lucky enough to shop at a farmer's market where they have the big, huge leafy stems and the big leaves on it, those are absolutely delicious. Do not throw those out. So cut it right at the stem level and save that for later. The best way to cook beets is to roast them, skin on, in a foil pack. Just drizzle with olive oil, sprinkle with salt, sprinkle pepper. This will steam them without making them too soft, and it will be easy to get the peels off afterwards. The second part of the cauliflower is making the puree. So I have all the leftover cauliflower florets from yesterday with some milk. Pop a lid on, simmer until the cauliflower is tender when you pierce it with a knife. It should take anywhere between 20 minutes and half hour depending on the size of your cauliflower florets. Pop on a lid, simmer 20 minutes or so. Now, one of the other components to this recipe is just the finishing touch. We can go ahead and get that done out of the way. The topping is a mixture of raisins, any kind of seed you want. I have pumpkin seeds here. Also, we're going to be using some panko breadcrumbs. They're a Japanese breadcrumb. They're slightly sweet. I like them better than regular breadcrumbs. Chop up the raisins a bit. Toast them in a pan with a little olive oil. Nice little handful of panko. You don't need a lot, it's just the topping. You just want something crunchy on the top. A little olive oil. Little chopped up raisins. I've got golden raisins here. A tablespoon of panko or so. A tablespoon of pumpkin seeds or whatever other seed you would like. Stirring so it's nicely browned. Then remove from heat and put it in a bowl separately. One of the components of this dish that kind of ties it all together is a basic vinaigrette. Dijon mustard, olive oil, red wine vinegar. I like to mix some of the vinaigrette with the warm beetroot. When the beet is warm, it soaks up some of that flavor. So make a little extra vinaigrette. It's not going to go bad anyway because you can always use it on salads. Put it to the side. Use it later. While everything's roasting and simmering away, we can start prep for the other ingredients, for the other components of this recipe. We want a leafy green of some sort. If you have a good kale or bok choy, that's great. I was at Annam earlier and found this beautiful chard. It was gorgeous color, so I'm going to use some of this. What you want to do is chop the stem off. Save the leaves. We're going to either keep, I think we'll keep them whole because they will shrink when we add them to the pan. But we're going to finally dice the stems and keep them separate. We'll use all of this. Don't throw those stems away. Don't throw those stems away. I'll come beat you. Look at that cauliflower, nicely charred. Let that cool. Now once the beets have cooled or they're cool enough to handle, I use a clean dish rag so I don't burn. The residual heat from the beet does not burn my hand. Very carefully using a paring knife, even a butter knife, peel the skin off the beet. It should come. Once you've peeled your beets and they're still a little bit warm, toss them with a little bit of that vinaigrette. Go ahead and puree this in a food processor with a little bit of the cooking milk and a tablespoon or so of olive oil. If you need more milk, add more milk to make it nice and smooth. Now, I do not have a food processor, nor do I have a potato ricer or a potato masher, so I'm using a slotted slice some onion, kind of half moons, those beet greens from earlier as well. Have them ready to go. A little salt and pepper to taste. Go ahead and add your beets. A little extra dressing, the greens.